What is up, everybody? Welcome into episode 85 of the Brahma Bullpen. And I know what you're saying. Where's producer? Well, producer has non-spring football things to do. So this week, it's me, solo, coming to you from the cow pasture on behalf of United Football Media. Maybe it'll be less banner and trash talk, but we should be able to get through the news quicker. And that's why we're here. You know, it's off season for the UFL, but the news keeps dropping. Needing to get this episode out here with everything going on with the UFL, new ownership, relocation, expansion. There's Brahmas news, player signings, everything's going on. NFL's kicking off. And so stick with me. I'll give you my thoughts on expansion. Got a little news for you here and go from there. So let's go ahead and just get right into it because I don't have a producer to ask what he thinks about any of the news. So first things first, as you guys know, we support the Dallas Cowboys out here in the cow pasture and like a lot of people in South Texas. But this Micah Parsons thing, and I know every NFL sports talk station in San Antonio, probably all of Texas, and who knows the percentage of sports talk shows that have touched on this topic, the Micah Parsons trade request, contract drama going on. Micah Parsons put out a tweet that he no longer wanted to be with the Dallas Cowboys. First of all, he can't go anywhere. He's under contract. Second of all, they're probably going to wind up franchising him. Third of all, Jerry Jones does this to like every player that plays for the Cowboys. So I don't think, there's this whole deal about his feelings being hurt or whatever. Look, from what I've been able to gather, listening to the talk shows and reading social media and some people that are in the know. In fact, I watched the Dallas Cowboys podcast, the podcasters that work for the Dallas Cowboys, and they basically said, hey, Jerry and Micah had a paper napkin deal. Jerry thought it was done. Micah went back, told his agent, go talk to the Cowboys. Jerry Jones was like, wait a minute, I already made this deal with Micah, i.e. another defensive lineman, got a huge contract, Myles Garrett, and drove the price of D linemen up through the roof. And then they came back to try to negotiate more from Jerry. Jerry wasn't having it. He said, I already had a deal. We already talked about this. Yada, yada, yada. Feelings are hurt. Here we are. Just crazy, crazy, crazy the amount of money these guys are fighting over. But just wanted to throw it out there. I think Micah's going to wind up signing. He's not going to miss any games, and everything's going to be fine in the end. Whether or not the Cowboys have a successful season won't rest on the shoulders of Micah Parsons. That will be a Dak Prescott thing. But anyways, just crazy, crazy news. Wanted to throw that in there for the few people that are in the San Antonio area. You're probably Cowboys fans. I think I have met like one Houston Texans fan in my whole life in San Antonio. I know there's got to be a couple out there, but anyways, let's get into the UFL news. So we got us a story from Kevin Seifert. It's this Kevin Seifert for ESPN. I think this might be his fourth or fifth story covering the UFL, and this one is actually positive. He didn't find a way to spin it negatively and preach gloom and doom about the UFL, so props to him for that. But the United Football League hired another billionaire, Mike Rapoport, to come in and help the league. Sorry if I said that wrong. Mark Rapoport, that's the way it's spelled. Is it Repo or Rapo? Got to be Repo. Anyways, Mike Rapoport came in, bought into the league, so now he's a part owner. He's not a majority owner, so it's still the majority owner is Redbird Capital. Then it would be Fox. Then it's Danny and Dwayne Garcia, whatever little piece they wind up owning, and then his group here. But one of the things that's the craziest part that came out of this, in this interview, if you read right there, it confirmed the Columbus, Ohio market and confirmed that they're going to be playing in lower.com field, home of their current MLS soccer team, the Columbus Crew. So it's pretty interesting that's kind of a deal. We had the rumors of the expansion. We'll deal more into the expansion and some of the research we've done in this episode, but here in a little bit. But for sure, we're getting a team going either from one of the USFL teams is moving to Columbus, Ohio. We don't know which one yet, and we don't know a name yet, but we do know because of this report and this story and the quote by Rapoport here that it's happening, man. Relocation is happening. And stay tuned because he also talks about other stuff that's very interesting in this ESPN report. But real quick, wanted to throw this up here. This is a very nice soccer stadium. If you see the picture, there's got suites up there. You got open seating, got club seating. It's got It's outdoor, which up in Columbus, Ohio is not as bad at being outdoor as Birmingham, Alabama. Always complaining it's hot. But anyways, that's a whole other topic. But 2,200 square feet canopy, so a lot of it's covered. 3,362 seat safe seating. It's got suites like we talked about. 62,000 square feet of public plaza. It can hold over 20,000 fans. It's just a good stadium, and it's new. It's got a beer garden, and it's got terraces and restaurants all in there. You know, a 20,000 seat stadium, hold with 50,000 people in it, will be way better than some of the other stadiums that they've been playing in so far. And this is a confirmed story, so we're not breaking any news here. Awesome deal. We got a team, we got a stadium. Now we need a team name. Some more interesting quotes out of this story about this Billionaire. We know that many of the markets, especially ones getting relocated, were under 10,000 on average tickets sold per game. If you see in the second paragraph there, Rapoport basically said it's 10 or 15,000 per game. So that's the warning shot to all UFL fans out there. If you're watching this and you're in San Antonio or whatever city you're in, if you want a UFL team in your city, that's the number right now. Right now it's 10 to 15,000. Eventually that number is going to be 20,000. But right now, if you do not have over 10,000 in every game, you are going to be one of the teams marked for relocation. So it will be nobody but your own fault, fans, if you guys wind up losing your team. 50,000 is better. Obviously, the Dome up in St. Louis gets into that 30,000, 25 to 30,000 range all the time, so good for them. But Rapoport founded brands that you might be familiar with, like Vitamin Water, Body Armor, sold that kind of stuff to Smart Water, sold that stuff to other companies. He's very excited to work with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. But if you look at the bottom paragraph here, another crazy quote. It is just like, bam, crazy quote. If you don't have 10,000, you're getting relocated. Bam, we're going to Columbus. Bam, we got a stadium. Look at the bottom. Has a bold vision to expand to 10 to 12 teams within the next 5 years. So we were already talking about, we were at 8, and when they wanted to add 2 and 2 over the next 2 years to get to 12. That was before the season started. Then the attendance sucked. Butts in seats matter, folks. Butts in seats matter. They still want to get to 10 or 12 teams within the next 5 years. I like giving the 5-year time frame because it doesn't paint you in a corner of saying 2 and 2 over the next 2 years and then make you have to retract on that later. But the crazy part, up to 16 teams within the next 10 years. So we're talking 16-team league. We got all kinds of billionaires wrapped up in this. We got everything, teams being relocated. To me, it sucks for the fans that are losing their teams. Nobody wants that to happen. As much trash as we talk about each other on social medias, we don't want teams to get invested into fans that get invested into a team and then wind up losing them. That is not fun for anybody. We've gone through that here in the cow pasture with the San Antonio Commanders. It was tragic. I still get mad about it. You can see the Commanders flag up there right now. But here's more confirmation, more news. The league's going to stay in Arlington, keep practicing like it is right now for the short term. But they're going to increase the number of days the teams spend in markets leading up to and around the game. So maybe coming a day earlier, staying a day later, making sure you're in the market for 2 or 3 days and have little events. I know the Brahmas did a lot of that. A lot of the teams did a lot of that. It wasn't the whole teams. They would pick their 4 or 5 players and they'd come down here and they'd be in local market before the game and all that kind of stuff. So it's good to know more market. But here's the interesting quote right at the bottom. You can't be a real league in 5 years if you have your DC team in Arlington, which that's his example. You can't be a real league in 5 years if your San Antonio team's in Arlington, if your Columbus team is in Arlington, i.e., let's get the teams into home markets, which is crazy. So it's everything that fans wanted. They want the teams in home markets. They want expansion. They want the league to be healthy. And we want good football. All of this is exciting news to me because all it means is plans are being made and we're going to get UFL football next year, regardless of what any of the haters want to say. And the other thing is there was a statement put out by Russ Brandon that said this was not a Tom Dundon situation where someone's coming in, buying the league, not coming through with the money. There was like embezzlement rumors for other people that were investing in the AAF back in the day, and Tom Dundon wanted this technology that was in the ball that tracked it. You know, all those crazy rumors. I still hate Tom Dundon. You know, I still can't say that guy's name without feeling a little bit of sickness in my stomach. So no matter what that guy does, he took sports fans and impacted them for life. And I hope he's happy with himself up there owning a stupid hockey team and knowing that there's at least one jerk in a cow pasture that still doesn't like him. But anyways, more stuff. Here's the actual press release from the UFL. Basically, Rapoport said football has clearly established itself as America's most popular sport. The only thing it will even compete with is international soccer, European soccer. But here in America, 100% is football. There's no better time than now to build a strong, sustainable spring league which unites fans, teams, and fans. He's honored to be part of the UFL league and ownership group. Some of the other things he owned is Tom Brady, sports memorabilia, footwear, apparel type deal. So there was already rumors that Tom Brady wanted to get into the UFL. So now this is going to add to that. I personally would be very surprised if Tom Brady got into the UFL. He's got his Fox Sports stuff going, his announcing, he's got his health brand going and all that stuff. I don't know. Maybe he'll do it just because he's bored. But realistically, who knows what will happen with that. But great story. We got a guy with money buying into the league. You can see he sold a bunch of his stuff to Coca-Cola for a combined $12 billion. So, yeah, dude's definitely a billionaire and what we need. Going on to relocation. So we all heard about a lot of the players getting laid off. That was a James Larson story, as well as the UFL News Hub reported on that. And so you take that information, you started getting the rumors for Boise, Orlando, Tulsa, Oklahoma City, Tampa Bay, and Louisville. Columbus was also rumored, and Columbus is now confirmed. But it's crazy that all these cities started getting rumored as teams for potential relocation. So my thought process was, well, let's reach out to these cities and see what the cities have done, or if they have even talked to the league about relocation. Now, understand they put out a request for proposals back before the season started, and if a city puts a proposal together, then that's public information that people can get their hands on. So in this page right here, the last paragraph, I literally copied and pasted this public information request, Federal Information, Freedom of Information Act request, whatever you want to call it, to all of these cities saying, hey, have you talked to XFL Properties, UFL, blah, 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 involving expansion, relocation, existing new properties, financial reports, invitation, incentives, everything I could think of throw in there that would be a title in one of these documents, and send it to all these cities. And so I'm just going to kind of go over right now what I came up with. Now, I'll tell you the one caveat, right off the bat. I reached out to the city of Columbus, Ohio, and they responded back to me, we do not have any communications to share with you because we have not talked to the league. Boom. Teams being relocated to Columbus, Ohio. So what that means is the city did not reach out to the UFL, but the stadium or the league reached out to the stadium, or the stadium was one that put the proposal. The owner of the Columbus Crew could have been the one that said, hey, I want football in the stadium when the soccer's not going on, and they sent the proposal. So if the league said they got 30 proposals, that don't mean they came from the city. But as opposed to sending out a request to every privately owned football stadium or soccer stadium in the country, I went with the city route. Also, with that being said, privately owned businesses aren't required to give me information by no means, shape, or fashion. They could just say, no, I don't want to. Cities cannot. But first city, the Boise, the Darling, the Blue Turf, Darling's up there. I guess it's kind of a cool deal. But my biggest thing about Boise is the estimated population right now in Boise is 235,000 people. I don't know why you would take an organization or a team or a game or an event that's already struggling to put, let's just talk about Memphis. They average 2,000 or 3,000 people a game. Why would you take a team only getting 2,000 or 3,000 people a game that's in a bigger city in Memphis and move it to a smaller city in Boise? Like, you're trying to put it in places, and you're going to say, oh, they got a football-hungry population, blah, blah. No, they don't. They have a bunch of alumni that travel into Boise to go to Boise State games. They got 10 or 15,000 of the people in those games are students at the University of Boise. They're either getting in on student passes or for free. These are not random people going to Boise, Idaho to watch football games. They are some fans that live part of the 235,000. But the majority of the fans are alumni and students currently in the school. So it's not the same. You can't just say because college teams get tons of people there that you're going to fill up a stadium for a pro team that there's no connection. Look, man, Texas A&M, they get 100,000+ on average per game. I've been in there when it was like 108,000 because they were sticking people in every corner they could. I could tell you right now, if you took the St. Louis Battlehawks and stuck them to play in Kyle Field, they would not get 102,000 people there. Period. Same thing with Boise. Not going to happen. Then the other thing is, you can see this tweet here from socials. Said, hey, is UFL coming to Boise? And you think, not in 2026. There's a tweet. Not in 2026. Don't say never, but there's always one. But not next year. And you're like, well, what does that guy do think? Well, that guy's the deputy athletic director for the university that owns the stadium. So I got the response back from the city saying, thank you for your request, but the city has researched our records and cannot locate any documents that are responsive to your request. And the athletic director for the school says, not in 2026. So if you add up all that information, if I was going to bet $1, I'm going to bet Boise's not one of the locations, right? Orlando was rumored to be one of the locations. There's this whole Danny Garcia's got ties to Orlando. The new Ripoll's got ties to Orlando. He's got business there. People are saying there's a contract with Camping World Stadium. I don't know who owns Camping World Stadium, but once again, the city of Orlando basically responded to me and said, hey, we do not have anything to tell you. But Ripoll did make it clear that he wants markets with smaller stadiums that fit more the UFL, i.e. the soccer stadiums. I personally don't like the soccer stadiums. They don't really look that good on TV. Maybe if they did it right, because I know DC plays in a soccer stadium, and they don't ever have the field painted the right color, and they don't have the lines dark enough. And sometimes it looks like they're in the end zone when they're not in the end zone. And I know they don't want to change all the markings and colors completely for a UFL part-time tenant as opposed to a full-time soccer team up there. So I get all that. But I don't know. Maybe if they did it right, I would come around. But right now, I'd rather go to a small college stadium or a big high school stadium. But that's just me. Or in the dome, you know what I'm saying? Horns forward. Let's go, Brahmas. Got that dome. We'll talk about that here in a minute. Oklahoma City, Tampa Bay, Louisville. I even stuck Canton in here. All of them gave me the same out-of-the-box response. We don't have anything to share you. But what I would say is, as mentioned earlier, if you are hopeful, if you're a spring football fan and you're hopeful one of those cities get a team, I wouldn't be too disgruntled about it because, like I said, there's private stadiums that they might wind up going to. And then that's the crazy part. We kind of led to an expansion. 16 teams by 2035. Ripoll's quote was, we're going to be aggressive, nimble, scrappy, gritty, and make moves, baby. They hope to have 16 teams by 2035. So, man, keep your eyes out for expansion. This year, we're talking relocation. Maybe next year, we'll be talking expansion, especially if the 4 teams, at least 2, maybe 4 teams that get relocated, see a big boost in attendance because they go into a market that actually wants to support them. That'll be awesome. And we'll get to see what happens. There's a big push. You haven't heard many grumblings out of Houston. Haven't heard many grumblings out of Memphis that lost their teams. Michigan's been kind of pushing back. There's a lot of people saying, hey, go to this other stadium in Michigan. I don't know. Michigan maybe wasn't as attendance as much as the cost of playing ball in Ford Field, which makes total sense. So maybe it would be nice to keep that team in the area. And then you got Birmingham. It's pretty crazy how the Birmingham fans think that a team that averaged less than 10,000 and then got 2,000 signatures, that the 2,000 signatures on that petition to keep them there was going to mean something. I'm going to tell you, 2,000 signatures on the internet, not that it's nothing, but it's definitely not a lot. Like if you think about, if you have the whole world, the billions of people that have access to Twitter or X, whatever social media, and you get 2,000 people to sign on that. Like literally somebody in like Mexico City could sign that petition if they ran across it on social media, right? I mean, let's be honest. So if you got 2,000, more than likely all 2,000 people live in and around Birmingham. And so now you got 2,000 people that said they would go to a game, and you could only get 9,000. So I mean, there's something there, or there's nothing there. But yeah, relocation and expansion. Stay tuned. There's something happening all the time, and we're gonna have teams announced in the next month or two because the season's gonna come right around the corner, and you got to get the contracts done. You got to get stadiums locked up. You got to get marketing people down there. You got to start selling tickets. You don't want to go into another season where you only have like a couple of months to try to sell tickets to the market, and then as a league be upset that you didn't get 15,000 in the stadium, right? Like you got to get those cities announced, and you got to get them announced now and start selling tickets. So stay tuned for all that. With that, let's get into some Brahma news. This is the Brahma Bullpen on behalf of United Football Media from the Cow Pasture. So let's make sure we always talk exciting upcoming Brahma news, and we're going to do that right now. All right, first thing we're going to do, San Antonio Brahmas UFL to NFL. Let's go. So these are according to everything I could find. So we've had UFL Communications Department has put out a list of signings. Pro Football Newsroom, James Larson's always keeping us updated on this type of stuff. So there's the two primary sources that I looked at to compile this list of San Antonio Brahmas. So we got Jashawn Corbin, which was early on, he was signed with the Falcons. And these are signed players, so they're actually there not for a workout or a tryout. These have some sort of contract, whether it's for the season or a minimum for training camp. You got Jacobs Sykes playing for the Eagles, and he'll probably see some action here this week. You got preseason football games happening. You got safety Henry Black signed with the Falcons. Good for him. You got outside linebacker Garrett Nelson, who is signed with the Broncos. There's a lot of Brahmas ties with Wade Phillips and all that. And Garrett Nelson was one of Coach Acub's guys, high motor type dude. So congratulations to him. You got Jacob Harris going to the Buccaneers. There might be a little tie there with Peyton Pardee, who's there serving on their camp coaching roster, helping with that as part of their fellowship program. If Jacob Harris gets a chance to play up there, he's probably 7 or 8 on the depth chart for wide receivers. All I ask for him is to catch the ball, please. He ran great routes. He had the size. He was open a lot. Had a lot of opportunity to make a lot of plays for San Antonio Brahmas. But, man, he needs to get some new gloves or something. And that's not just it. We got tryouts. So here's 6 more players that have gotten tryouts. You got Cameron Lyons, the long snapper with the Texans. You got offensive lineman Gurman with the Saints. Cornerback Sean Fresh with the Eagles. Derek Langford with the Packers. Steven Stilianos tied in through the crazy touchdown pass. He was worked out for the Bills and the Vikings. And you got Thomas Gordon with the Bears. He was only on the roster for a couple of weeks right at the end of the season. But stay tuned. Keep an eye on social. Let's make sure we keep up and support our Brahmas players, because once a Brahma, always a Brahma. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm talking about. If you guys remember Luke Barku, he played with the Brahmas their inaugural season. So I don't know if we still get to claim him, because that was back in 23. But he's another Brahmas that got signed with an NFL team. Going on to more Brahmas. We got relocation, we got expansion, but you know what we don't got? We don't got to worry about the Brahmas going nowhere. So it has been confirmed and corroborated by multiple sources that the San Antonio Brahmas do have an agreement with the UFL for the upcoming season. That is amazing. City of San Antonio owns the Alamo Dome, so this information is attainable. So here we are. We got the information. One thing about the Dome is people have already started talking about, well, last year you had one home game left, and, excuse me, I had a little wet my whistle. But people are already talking about, we lost a home game due to scheduling conflicts. Look, dude, it was the Final Four. One of the largest economic drivers a sports stadium has the opportunity to host, right? I would venture to say that it's in the top. I mean, it's nowhere near the Super Bowl, right? Obviously, Super Bowl is number one. But dude, the Final Four and the amount of games, the amount of tickets, and the amount of people they put in these stadiums is huge for the city. So, yeah, Brahmas fans, we are averaging 11, 12,000. Our highest attended game was 14,000 people in the Dome. Yeah, the Final Four wants to come down and play 6 or 8 games in your dome and average 60 plus thousand people, yeah, you're going to do that. You got to make money. It's you know, work around the schedule. I get it. You're going to lose a home game. It's crazy. But speaking of the dome, more crazy stuff having to do with the Brahmas down here. So this Project Marvel is big news in San Antonio, and even today, as recording this, Bexar County, the county that San Antonio's in, commissioners approved the going out to election to increase what they would consider to be tourist taxes, such as hotel tax, sales tax in the special district downtown, not property taxes, but to generate money to help build this Project Marvel. Includes a Spurs arena, upgrades of the dome, expansion to the convention center, music venues, all kinds of stuff in downtown San Antonio. But they're saying this Project Marvel could generate $18.7 billion over 30 years. And so that'd be $623 million a year. Quick, dumb cow pasture math. Now, do I believe it will generate that? Yeah, I do. I think once you factor in the businesses downtown, the property taxes they pay, the sales taxes they pay, the extra so many thousands of people, tens of thousands of people that fly into San Antonio to go to Spurs game, go to this downtown area. There's a possibility of us catching a Spurs game and a Brahmas game on the same day with this giant bar food scene in downtown San Antonio, which would be amazing. I would just say that would be a fun day. But yeah, I know that if there was a big bar scene, sports related, tied to the Spurs, tied to the Brahmas in downtown, that's where I would be. I'm just saying, every time someone wanted to go somewhere and have a drink, that's where I'm going. Let's go down there to in Dallas, they got the Star. I don't know if they'd call it here, but the River Walk Spur of the river, or whatever you want to call it, whatever name they come up with. Project Marvel. So anyways, just wanted to share that with you guys. That Project Marvel is going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with Project Marvel. Here's some articles coming out from the Express News saying that this Project Marvel is not just basketball. Some of the details: they want $500 million to invest in the Spurs arena. The Spurs are guaranteeing that if they need more than that, they're going to cover it. So it's 500, we're out. And if anybody's ever done any type of large type of construction projects, everybody goes over budget all the time, nonstop. Then they want $500 million guaranteed for surrounding mixed-use development, meaning what are you going to do other than the arena? Shops, shopping center, places for foods, places for restaurant. And they're saying there's going to be $60 million directly to communities. That's $60 million. The Spurs are talking about paying for or donating or putting money into a fund to help pay for city employees. And I believe it's just city employees and child care. Like basically, like if you work for the city of San Antonio and you go to this daycare, you get like a child credit type deal. Whatever they could do to kind of help curb the cost and entice these politicians down there. This is a business developer and a politician agreeing on something that both feel is a good opportunity for both of them. The Spurs, this is an example. Think of it as this. They're putting a vending machine in a high traffic spot. The Spurs will stock, maintain this vending machine with snacks, and then they will pay the high trafficated spot owner, the city, rent to keep it there. And then if something goes wrong in the stadium or in this vending machine, the vending machine people fix it. And that's actually a pretty good analogy because that's very common in these types of events and occurrences. And I know that seems like a quick episode. I'm done. I'm in here by myself. I don't need to ramble. But, relocation, expansion, Brahma news. And if you're still here, I'm going to just tease something. We have an interview set up, out of season content. We're going to continue to try to bring you guys content to keep the Brahmas front and center on social media and keep the activity fired up. So we will be having an interview. I will give you a hint. It will be a coach for the Brahmas and on the defensive side of the ball. That hasn't been on the episode before. Oh, man. That's a good one. Hasn't been on the episode before. But anyways, we're going to get out of here. We're going to end it like we always do with a nice horns forward. Let's go Brahmas, baby. No relocation.